It is common for children to show signs of inattention, impulsivity, have difficulty in delaying gratification, usually until the age of 6. But this is normal and natural part of development. The scientific reason being that this part is responsible for all these functions together, which is called the executive functions. So planning, judgment, reasoning, decision making, delayed gratification, impulsivity, following instructions, attention. So all of these things are controlled by the prefrontal cortex, and that is not mature in very young children. So as part of growing, it is natural for children to feel like they have difficulty in turn taking, so they're like, no, me next, or like crying when you say no, it's not your turn, or going and grabbing something from another child's hand. These things are natural part of development. You could suspect a diagnosis of ADHD when the child has more difficulty in, say, structured environments, like they're not able to get through school sitting, listening, copying from the board, not being able to follow instructions, while the norm among the peers, they are able to do so. So you can get a diagnostic evaluation done to see if the symptoms persist up to a clinically significant level. Not to say that screen time is evil, you shouldn't give screen time, but it's just that the exposure age is so critical. Typically till 3 years at least, you need to allow the brain to mature organically. But these days what's happening is that when there is this influence of screen time, which plays a huge role in the way the frontal cortex develops, so it's becoming like every second child has attention issues. They're not able to sit feeling bored, they're not able to complete a task, they want to move from one thing to another very quickly, they have transition difficulty between one activity to the other, and this has led to a certain amount of overdiagnosis of ADHD. Typically anything between 6 to 12 years of age, children get diagnosed, but these days it's as early as 2-3 years of age. But if you ask them about their daily routine, there'll be a huge amount of screen time. Like, screen time doesn't cause ADHD really, but because there's already an existing biological vulnerability, it can contribute to a clinically significant level of ADHD symptoms. So yes, it is being overdiagnosed these days. So ADHD is not just a phase, it is something that's real in terms of the structural changes happening in the brain, and it is not just a phase also because it is going to have sort of a ripple effect. Like, if you're not interested in learning because your attention span is lesser, then naturally your performance takes a hit, and then it has successive effects on other things. On the other hand, it would be a phase if you can actually try and work your way around reducing screen time and doing other things which will help the child to nurture their executive functions. Let's say you're going to create routines where the child can do XYZ things at that time every day. That would be really helpful for the child. And other simple changes in the environment, like not having too many toys, involving them in household tasks would be great. And creating these stickers, stars as rewards, having something called a token economy system where they can earn their reward, because at the end of a certain behavior, it motivates them to repeat the behavior again. So yes, it can be a phase in the sense that it can be worked on, but when it is not addressed, or it is not evaluated and understood, when you're not getting help to see where your child stands, it can become something that also spills into say teenage or early adulthood. It's very interesting that many parents come in and say, what, he or she can sit in front of the screen for a very, very long time, but if I say do this, do that, give them something in the hand, immediately they want to get up and go away. They don't want to do it, they're not interested in it. So I want to make it very clear here that when a child is sitting in front of a screen, practically they're actually like arrested right? All their senses are bombarded. They don't have the bandwidth to attend to anything else. They're just stuck, like they're glued to what they're watching. It's something that you can see in everyday life. Like there are things that you want them to eat which they don't. You just mix it in something and you're giving them, they're watching, they have no idea what's going on in the mouth. That's because their taste receptors are not exactly picking up on the inputs that's coming in. But on the other hand, when they are sitting in front of any other task, let's say you have to peel a vegetable, or you have to do homework, or even you have to read a book, as simple as that, the engagement with such activities requires effort, and it requires conscious processing of information, where you're choosing what to read, you're turning the pages, you're maybe looking at the color of the vegetable. So these are things that the brain is not used to. Also, because what comes on screen, the child doesn't have control over. It's just they're bombarded with information and inputs, and they just kind of get on with it. And another major factor is the dopamine reward system, where when they're watching television or phones or whatever, it actually changes the way they perceive reward. Any other activity in normal life, which is face-to-face activities, can appear a lot less interesting and mundane and boring. So it's not enough motivation for them to engage with the task. So yes, a child having ADHD symptoms, glued to television or phone watching something, can still have restlessness outside and be diagnosed with ADHD. Just because they're sitting in front of the screen for a while, it doesn't mean that they don't have inattention.